Regulatory talks in the US are heating up in a very big way. And of course, we are starting to see some very big moves happening. One of the biggest ones that recently happened was the SEC scrapping the expanded custody rule proposed and Rule 3B16 plus other Gensler era rules. We are starting to see the US market really open up. And when we really think about this, we have our eyes set on a few projects. Obviously, Hedera has to be one on the top of that list. And the reason why, well, we're going to be going over it. But first, I do have to say real quick, if you guys do want to get access to a ton of additional content, and I'm talking even exclusive content, you guys are more than welcome to join the Discord group down in the description below. You guys won't regret it. I'm telling you guys that now. And with that being said, let's dive on in. So, of course, yes, we did get the big update from Eleanor. She's actually quoting Paul Grewal from Coinbase, the CLO. And we have new, the SEC just officially scrapped the expanded custody rule proposal and Rule 3B16 plus other Gensler era rules. The custody rule aimed to cover all client assets, including crypto, broaden what counts as custody and raise concerns about whether certain state-chartered entities should be qualified custodians. Rule 3B16 proposed DeFi exchanges and platforms could be regulated as national securities exchanges. And last but not least, the SEC also dropped its proposal to make public companies comply with enhanced ESG reporting requirements. So this is very big. And of course, yes, we do have over here from Paul, down goes 3B16, qualified custodian, and all other unfinished Gensler rule proposals. The SEC Gov just issued final notices rescinding every single one of them. This is awesome. And you know what? It really speaks volumes on how the market is really opening up. And with the SEC now giving us a huge glimpse at where we're headed, the future is very bright for a lot of these great projects. Now, on top of that, you know, the SEC Gov recently just held a very big roundtable actually on June 9th. And this was DeFi and the American Spirit. This is definitely a very interesting one because there was a lot of great names actually from the industry and around the industry that were at this roundtable. And of course, yes, there was some very significant discussions ongoing. And it really kind of shows us that, you know, crypto is going to become a much bigger piece of the financial system. This has been something that I've been talking about since going all the way back to 2021. And even today, we're kind of seeing a very big focus put on this, which I'm very excited about. But on top of this, we did get a few other big updates. The Clarity Act itself advanced to full US House after committee votes. And of course, the Genius stablecoin bill passes, key vote advances in US Senate. Guys, like I said, we are watching some very, very big moves happening in the US. And what's crazy about this is that Hedera is also making some very big noise about stablecoins and AI and DLT involvement with enterprises. Even more recently, you know, Hedera did announce, you know, the all-in-one stablecoin solution. This was basically just an ad for it. Obviously, we already know about the stablecoin solution, but they announced this ad for the stablecoin solution. And I think it's because we are starting to see such heavy focus put on like the Genius stablecoin bill and even the Clarity Act, which also does include a few things around stablecoins and even digital assets. But the big thing is the Genius stablecoin bill, because this is going to open up the stablecoin market in a big way, which is definitely going to put a lot of, I would say a lot of attention on things like the stablecoin solution on Hedera. We already know that Philippine banks are tapping into this. A few other big banks are tapping into it as well. So, you know, Hedera is absolutely killing the game here. And even when we think about the stablecoin studio, right, it's not just Philippine banks that are tapping in. We also have Standard Bank, Shinhan Bank, Cathay Bank, and a few other big players already tied to the stablecoin studio. And I think that it's only a matter of time until we start to see more and more stablecoins on Hedera. Obviously, USDC Circle is already on Hedera. I personally think it would be a good decision for Hedera to actually launch a stablecoin as well. You know, we already know that there's been a lot of big players from the space launching stablecoins. Wouldn't surprise me one bit, but we'll have to watch, wait, and see. Now, I bring all of this up because we also did get a big update from Hedera themselves. A big day on Capitol Hill with Hedera. From remarks by Bill Miller and Jeff Crank to panels with Young Kim, Gabe Amo, And a few other players. Of course, Charles Atkins was there, Mance Harmon. We explored policy, the opportunity for U.S. leadership in the space, and the future of AI plus DLT with Lehman Baird. And this is experts from Milken Institute and IIF. We already know about the IIF because this is that big, giant institutional player that Hedera actually joined. And I don't know if they have that announcement over here. I would probably have to scroll back all the way, but this is one of the largest groups, if you will, or associations that are tied back to some of the biggest players in, of course, the financial space. But we love to see these types of ongoing discussions with some prominent names like, of course, Hedera, because what we're starting to see is really, I would say, a push behind these utility projects to get involved and ultimately integrate it within the system. I mean, this technology is extremely disruptive and it's not going anywhere. In fact, it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's getting to the point where it's impossible to ignore. So we love to see this. And of course, when it comes to AI and DLT, we already know that the AI Studio also recently launched, and this is providing so much for any major player that wants to tap into AI, build AI workflows, you name it. And again, this is also showing us that, Hedera is absolutely killing the game. By the way, going back to this, they did link Hedera's public policy work. Yeah, their public policy work is insane. We have here US and global engagement. Headquartered in the US with team members worldwide, the Hedera Public Policy team actively engages with policymakers both domestically and internationally to raise awareness on the transformative potential of DLT. We advocate for the responsible use of decentralized technology, ensuring it aligns with established regulatory frameworks and supports long-term growth and trust across industries. And of course, we already know that Hedera has been working with the regulators. They've been very transparent for years. I mean, guys, this is one of the most compliant projects in this space. And we actually have here members and partnerships. Of course, you have the Institute of International Finance. You also have a few other ones as well. Tech UK, the World Economic Forum, Digital Economy Council of Australia. I mean, guys, they're working with some very prominent names. Let's just say that. So, when we think about Hedera, they are taking every single step that they can to make sure that they are, ahead of the competition, if there is any, of course, because I talk about how this is going to be a multi-chain future. I think that they're just prepared for anything at this point. And they are aware that, this space will be regulated. We will have regulations, and they want to definitely get behind that. They want to make sure that they are compliant, that they are, following the rules. So Hedera's been, ahead of this for quite some time. Also, on top of that, a lot of these events have been getting held with Hedera and even the GBB Council, which, by the way, if we go back over here, we do know the Global Blockchain Business Council. We have a quote from the CEO down here. And we have at GBBC, we are committed to advancing the adoption of blockchain technology to build more secure and equitable societies. We are proud to count Hedera among our members as they exemplify innovation through their trusted technology and distinctive governance model, setting a high standard in the industry. And yeah, listen, the Global Blockchain Business Council has been a group that I've been following for quite some time. But at this event, there's a lot of discussions ongoing around tech, enterprise, and advancing U.S. digital asset policy on top of course, supply chains and standards. And there is a substantial, agenda tied to this. I mean, if you actually look through this, I mean, the agenda is massive. There's a lot of things around frameworks, around AI, around capital markets, around tokenization. I mean, you name it. So the fact that we're starting to see these types of ongoing discussions and these major roundtables and the discussions happening as well from these organizations and associations, it provides us with the fact that we are on the right track here. We are looking at the right projects. We just have to be a little bit more patient. And by the way, the GBBC actually put out a full breakdown of all of the names that were tied back to this. I mean, look at some of these names. Let me zoom in real quick just so that you guys can see. The CFTC was there, the OCC, U.S. House of Representatives, the U.S. Senate, the SEC was there as well, the New York State Department of Financial Services. I mean, guys, there was so many big names at this roundtable, and this is with the GBBC. And, I love to see these types of ongoing meetings because it shows us that This space it might be small to, the value, side of things. But this space is massive with a lot of very prominent names and ultimately regulatory bodies, enterprises, associations, organizations. This space right now, we are so early. I want you guys to realize that, especially when you look at the names that are tied back to these types of meetings. Like, we have major banks, major companies, massive institutional players as well. And we're sitting under a $4 trillion market cap. I mean, this space is going to be, so much bigger than what anyone actually thinks. So when we think about Hedera, when we think about everything that they have been focused on, and again, I mainly go back to that public policy, right? We go back to the public policy. We go back to how, Hedera has really handled themselves for the last couple years. I mean, this is a project that I personally believe in, not even just long term. Listen, this is a project that I have so much confidence about, because when we think about what they've been doing for the last couple years, they have not been slowing down. In fact, they did not take one single break. Everything around the ecosystem, when we look at the Hedera ecosystem itself, I mean, it is a stacked ecosystem. So many applications, so much, building happening, growth as well. And of course, ongoing discussions, regulatory discussions, working with some very prominent names, having these types of discussions. These are heavy discussions that will lead to, the plans being in place to make sure that DLT, like for an example, even Hedera, is plug and played within not just the US system, but the global system. I mean, we already have tokenization hidden in every single market out there. Real estate is now getting tokenized. Stocks are getting tokenized. We now have, players like Robinhood talking about tokenizing the stock market itself, making sure that stocks live on chain so that we can achieve 24/7, 365 trading. I mean, these are the types of discussions that I absolutely love to focus on. And even if we go back to the SEC Gov, right? We look at these roundtables, okay? The one prior, let me actually go back to the roundtable discussions. The one prior to the DeFi and American Spirit, that was tokenization, moving assets on chain where TradFi and DeFi meet. When we actually look at this, look at the names here: Fidelity, NASDAQ, Invesco, Franklin Templeton, BlackRock, Apollo Management, Tokenized Asset Coalition, the DTCC, Superstate as well. By the way, if we scroll down, Robinhood was there, Canton, Maple Finance, Securitize. I mean, guys, just this list here alone, like when we think about capital markets 2.0, we're also thinking about Wall Street 2.0. We're thinking about every single market out there that is trading trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars per year. These are all moving on chain. So this is why I think that it's so crucial to focus on these types of, meetings. It might not seem like this is a big meeting, or it might not lead to, significant price action, but I want you guys to understand that Hedera is sitting at the table, right? They're sitting at the table in a very prominent, seat. They have a name at that table. People are realizing how big Hedera is, how big the technology behind it is, and they are taking this serious. So when we think about where crypto is headed, yeah, this space is not going to slow down. It is only going to pick up more and more speed, more and more growth, more and more value, and projects like Hedera are going to be 10 times, if not even more, bigger than where they are today. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on because of more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord down in the description below. And with that being said, guys, it's been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.